L'Entrepreneur Academy Live 2021 is going to be the biggest and best one yet.
Saturday, November 13th in Novi, Michigan.
This year's speakers are a who's who of the industry.
Greg Woodstock, Corey Ballard, Keith Kalfas, Mark Parker, Caleb and Brittany Almond, Haver Pete, Brian and Liz Fullerton,
and Jeff Joyner. Do whatever you have to do to make it. The L'Entrepreneur Academy Live 2021.
Tickets will go fast. Get yours today at l'entrepreneuracademy.com.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys. Good morning. Well, today we are going to continue the exciting tradition of doing a Friday takeover for the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. Today we have none other than the man, the myth, the legend. We got Mike Gunn, Get It Done with Gunn. He is going to be doing a Friday takeover of the podcast show. Well, if you guys are new here, we're all about helping you guys grow a more successful lawn and landscaping business. So you guys can go out there and crush it. My wife and I, we run a lawn and landscape business up in Metro Detroit, Michigan, over here in the west side of the burbs of Detroit, Michigan. We've been in business for 16 years now. Is that crazy or what? Well, over the last 8 weeks, my wife and I had a brand new baby. Her name is Emmy Grace. She is a little over 8 pounds, and she is literally kicking butt. She's a beautiful little blonde hair, blue-eyed baby. She looks just like her mother. She's absolutely beautiful. Well, as you guys would imagine, behind the scenes, it's busy. It's busy. It's hectic. The highlight reel shows the beautiful baby photos, but let's be honest, behind the scenes, it's poopy diapers, pee diapers. It's a lot of work raising a newborn baby. I grossly underestimated how much work it was going to take to have a newborn baby, make sure that she's doing good, and then also make sure that Mama Bear is healing up and doing well as well, right? So here's the deal. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been doing something different with the podcast, which is doing some Friday takeover shows. If you guys are regular listeners, you already know the spiel and the deal. But for a lot of you guys that are new to the show, welcome. This is the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. It's hearing my thoughts, my opinions unfiltered, right? On YouTube, I can't say certain things, but on the podcast, it's still the wild, wild west. But you know what? We wanted to give a little bit of an opportunity, not that we're like the big dog or anything like that. In fact, we're thankful and grateful to be ranking among some of the other podcasts that you guys all know and love, like the Green Industry Podcast, the Kid Contractor Podcast, in their own right, are fantastic staple podcasts with what their hosts and their audience is. Well, here's what we've been doing. We wanted to share the love a little bit with our podcast. And also, just to be totally honest with you, I can kind of wiggle out of some responsibilities on the Friday episode and let these guys tell you and share with you some of their funniest and most catastrophic failures, if you will, in business. So what we've been doing is over the last few weeks and even the next couple of weeks, we've been inviting different guests that have other podcasts to take over the show on Friday. And you know what? Maybe some of them aren't as suave or debonair, as a Paul Jameson with those smooth transitions. Maybe they're not as funny and eloquent as Jordan Peterson. I'm just kidding. Caleb Allman, right? So here's the deal. They're still great folks. They have great podcasts. They have great businesses. And it doesn't matter if you get 1,000 downloads a day on your podcast or 100. I don't care. I have not subscribed to numbers for the longest time. If you're making an impact and you're trying, we want to share the love, spread the love with in the lawn care community, but my following our community in general, okay? Because not everybody subscribes to what we subscribe to, which is helping the next guy out and paying it forward, right? So today, with no further ado, because there isn't a further ado that's needed, we've got Mike Gunn, who's going to be doing the Friday Takeover show. We actually did a podcast episode with him about a year ago, and it was actually a really funny episode because it's kind of like the Marines or the Army where they break you down before they can put you back together. Well, him and I were talking for over an hour, and I'm like, hey, Mike, I got to get going. You got to get going. But where we had left the podcast actually was talking about Mike's like burning failures and, just the plane crashing and, him, rebuilding things and getting his business back up off the ground. Well, at that time, I'm like, well, hey, dude, I got a hard stop. I got to get going. You got to get going. Let's recap or regroup for a part 2. Well, it's been a little over a year now. We haven't really got to that part 2. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it a commitment to get Mike back on the show here throughout the month of October or November. And I want to hear his part 2. I want to hear phase 2, his second win, everything that he's got going on successfully over the last couple of years, because Mike is a really cool dude. He's a really nice guy. Nothing but good things to say about him. Very, very positive person in front of the camera and the podcast and behind the scenes. He's always talking positive and uplifting people. And that's something I really, really respect out there, is maybe somebody who doesn't get all the limelight, but they're making an impact nonetheless. And I really love and appreciate people like that, because like I said, they're on the same big team. They're all paying it forward. So without further ado, I haven't proofed the show, or I haven't listened ahead. I'm giving total faith and confidence to these guys, or completely ignorance and stupidity, because, you never know what's going to happen, right? But just having some fun. But I know these guys. I trust them to take over our show. So I think you guys are going to be super blessed to hear Mike Gunn from Get It Done with Gunn. All right. So here's the deal. We're going to hear from today's show sponsors, and then we're going to come right on back hearing a little bit more with the Friday Takeover. Just so you guys know, GIE Plus Expo is right around the corner. You've been hearing the ads, the hype, the excitement. It's here. Okay. We got one more friggin' week, basically like week and a half. It is coming. Okay. I am so pumped to see all of you guys there. Just a quick little highlight, quick little reminder. We are going to be at the Toro booth from 5 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. Okay. If you guys want to meet me, you guys want to take a photo, high five, shake hands, say whatever. Just bring me Chick-fil-A gift cards. I'm just having fun. More specifically, I want to meet you guys. Here's the deal. I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert, but for those 2 or 3 days at GIE Plus Expo, I want to get out there. I want to mingle. I want to shake your guys' hands, and I want to get to know you, honestly, sincerely, as much as you guys get to know me, because I love hearing and putting a face to the name. And all you guys that shoot me DMs and YouTube comments, I want to get to know you. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear that you got 30 new customers, and you guys are making an extra $50,000. I want to hear that your business grew and doubled from 2020, and you were able to bring your wife home to be a stay-home mom. That is so freaking cool. So can you guys stop me if you see me at GIE Plus Expo? Can you stop me? Don't do the awkward, like you make eye contact, but then you just keep walking and you go, shit, I should have said something. That's Brian's All Maintenance. Like, I feel the same way. I'm like, dude, that's that one guy from that one state, right? On Instagram. Would you come meet me? Because I want to meet you. Look, don't make the awkward eye contact and just keep walking, okay? By the way, if there's 10 people around or 5 people around or something like that, and I'm having a conversation, would you just wait for 2 seconds? I'll get to you. I want to get to you. I want to meet you just as much. Don't just walk away and go grab a hot dog and then we never get the link back up. Sincerely, I want to meet you guys so bad, as much as you guys might want to meet some of the people that you guys listen to and hear from all the time on podcasts and on the YouTube channels. Fair enough. All right. 5 to 7, Toro booth, Wednesday night, 10 to 11 a.m. Where are we meeting? Yes, I heard somebody just now yell it in the truck. The Xmark booth. There you go. Because you guys can get a free copy of Paul Jamison's new book from the Green Industry Podcast, Best Business Practices. We invested 250 copies, about 250 copies for Paul, with Paul, because we support him. We want to just show him some love and appreciation. We wanted to support his dang lemonade stand. Amen. I talked about that on a podcast before. So Paul and I are going to do a little booth takeover from 10 to 11 Thursday morning at the Xmark booth. We can't wait to see you guys there. Some new stuff that's going to be revealed at Xmark, which has never happened before. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. So make sure you guys check that out. All right. That's what I got for you right now. If you need to register last minute, I think registration might be shutting down any second now. Badges are probably coming in the mail any time now. But if you still need to register, promo code Brian saves you 50%. You kind of need that code now more than ever, because those ticket prices are going up and up for every extra day that you guys wait and delay. All right. That's what I got for you. Let's kick it over to Mike Gunn. Hey, Mike, if you're listening to the show, thank you for taking time. Thank you for the commitment to the community. Thank you for the commitment to just being a butt kicker. Thank you for being a winner for you and your family. Thank you for being an example of what it takes to grow a successful business that people can look up to, that somebody like myself can point to, that say, look, I don't want to hear about all of your freaking problems, because those are excuses. And I know a guy out there who's got reasons to make it happen, and he's making it happen every single day. Mike, you're a winner. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for taking a little bit of workload off of my schedule and my calendar so I can be a better dad. Appreciate you big time, brother. All right, let's hear from Mr. Producer, and then we're going to be right on back.
You've heard Caleb and Brittany Allman talking about the Hardscape Academy, but have you checked it out for yourself? The hardscapeacademy.com is the place to get the skills and training you and your crew need to excel as a professional hardscaper. You'll learn all the techniques and best practices to properly install pavers and retaining walls. You'll have access to online video training courses, in-person apprenticeships, comprehensive guides, and customizable business forms. Plus, there are 2 free courses which cover everything slab, from initial planning to final installation, and again, those are absolutely free. If you're serious about mastering your skills, abilities, efficiency, and bottom line, the hardscapeacademy.com is for you, and that link is in today's show notes.
What's going on, Fullerton Unfiltered family? I'm your host, Mike Gunn. And for literally the first time ever, guys, I've got my wife on a podcast episode. She said she'd actually do this one because, maybe people will actually listen to this one. I don't know. Because I run a podcast. It's called the Lawn Care Community Podcast. Go check it out after this one. I also have a little YouTube channel, Get It Done with Gunn, G-U-N-N, over on the YouTubes and Instagram. And brought my wife on here today because Brian was saying, take over the podcast, but I want you to give 2 kind of failure stories, but keep them light, keep them fun. So I'm like, all right, 10, 11 years in business, I've got plenty of failure stories. And so I'm kind of picking my wife's brain. I was like, man, I've got stories. I've got, stories of getting audited. I've got stories of getting, wrecking the truck earlier this spring. I've got stories of my cat getting stolen, like by disgruntled employees. I got them all, but she's like, no, none of those. Those aren't fun. Those are like boring, and you've told them before. So if you guys want to hear the boring, already told stories, go check out the Lawn Care Community Podcast and Get It Done with Gunn over on YouTube and Instagram. So I brought her on board here. She's mic'd up. Say hello.
Hello.
And she's gonna just pick my brain. We're gonna do this live on your Friday takeover on the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast, Lon's Lessons Life. And like I like to say to Brian, Lon's Lessons Life, and occasionally Liz laughing hysterically throughout the whole episode that she takes over, right? So I brought my wife on here today. Her name is Heather. I guess we can call her that. And she's gonna we're gonna play this live here, and she's gonna bring up some stories that she can remember, and then we'll just see what she comes up with, because I don't even know what she's thinking of yet. So hopefully this plays out. Hopefully I'm not totally embarrassed, because I just looked it up, episode 89 on the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast. You can go back, check that out. And I shared my story with Brian. It was like the first part of the story. And the first part of my story in business, 4 or 5 years in, was all my failures and just everything, kind of crashing down. And he caught me at my very bottom, the lowest of my low. And then he cut me off, guys. So so I got to get back with Brian, and we've been trying to get together here for almost a year now, and with kids and family, and now Brian and Liz and their kid and everything else going on, guys. Just life gets busy sometimes. So we're trying to get the second part of the story, the rest of the story, the better part of the story, in my opinion, on the podcast. But for today, we're just gonna, I guess, Brian just wants us to humiliate ourselves some more, and my wife's pretty good at doing that. So Heather,
so I'm just thinking, you can only pick two.
Well, you can't. No,
stories.
I mean, not only 2 stories. This isn't strict, play by the rules. I mean, we're not, no, it can be more than 1 story or more than 2 stories, but just, we're keeping it light, keeping it short here, so we're not.
I'm just racking my brain around it here, and I think there's a few good ones out there.
Boy, here we go. Nobody knows how to humiliate you more than your wife, right?
Well, he does it every day, so he starts to forget. But
yeah, I'm like talking to you. I'm like, dude, I don't even know. I've got plenty of great stories, but what do I share that people are going to get something out of it, but it's going to be kind of lighthearted and fun too.
So one of my favorite ones is when you went to that neighborhood and all the houses looked the same. And you probably know where I'm going with this one, but Chinese all the houses look the same, and that little Asian lady that came out.
Can I even say that?
And I mean, she was a sweet lady, right?
Oh, my house looks so good.
Yeah, she was really happy. But tell them about that story, because that one's pretty funny.
That was that this year? Was that earlier this spring or last spring? No, that was last year. Yeah, that was earlier last year. In the spring, dead rush. You guys know how it is in the spring. I had sold to this guy some downspouts, and it was one that we're going to later in the fall do a paver patio project for him. And I had sold... maybe backtrack here a little bit. For any of you that don't know me or don't know where I'm coming from, I own just to give some light to this story, shed some light on this story. I own a landscaping business north of Indianapolis. We're about 45 minutes north of Indianapolis. I've been doing it for over 11 years now in business for myself, and 15, 16 years in the business. And I do landscape installations, and we also do full service landscape management programs. So that's kind of a backstory. That's where I'm coming from. And so back to the story, this was a landscape installation, a small little install to get some things done that needed to happen right away. And then we were going to do a paver patio project later for them in the fall when we could actually, get it in the schedule. So this is going to be a great first impression for this guy, right? So we get out there, and literally all the houses in this neighborhood, I mean, they're custom homes, I guess. They're nice homes. But it's like literally to me, like they all look the same. I mean, you guys ever have this where you just pull up and literally every house, they're different, but to you, they all look the same. So we pull up there and we get out. We've got our river rock. We've got our fabric, and what we're doing is where the downspouts come down, instead of burying them like you can, we're going to put river rock down with the 5mm fabric underneath and some steel edging and just make them nicer so they're not washing out the mulch. So we get the job done. It takes us half a day and turns out really, really nice. And I take some pictures, and I send a text to the dude that wasn't home, at the time, the client, whatever you want to call him. And I say, hey, we got it done. Looks good to go. I'll send you an invoice, when they get back to the office, that kind of deal. Standard, standard deal, standard day. And this dude texts me back like 30 minutes later. Mike, my wife just got home and she said, nothing's been done. And I'm like, what? And then immediately, like the switch, it just switched and flips on whatever the saying is. And I'm like, oh crap, we did the wrong house. And like, duh, Gunn, look at the address, on the freaking estimate, like all these things. But when you get into the rush of the spring and you get in a hurry, like things fall through the cracks and you're just in a hurry, right? And that's how mistakes happen.
Yeah. Well, you came home that day, I remember, and you were like, you got that message from that guy and you were like, what do I do? What do I do? Oh my gosh, what if these people don't like it that I like just did all this work on?
Well, yeah, because they can lead.
You were like terrified that they were going to try to sue you or do something crazy because they would hate it.
Yeah, like literally, and they could have. Like you're doing work.
Thinking, did they not hear you outside? Like
I know, and that's what I was saying. Like the Martin was helping me at the time. Mighty Mart was his nickname. And he was helping me at the time. And this was earlier on in spring before we really even got going, but we were in a rush. And he said he saw people inside. And so later on, when I was talking to the lady, she was like, oh, yeah, I saw you. But, there's so much construction. It was a new construction neighborhood and, going on. And she just didn't think anything of it, she says. But what do you think? She's in there like, oh, sweet, we're getting free work. Like I was freaking out. I remember that now because I was freaking out because I thought, if these people don't like it or you're screwing around with their home, like literally doing an installation on their house that they didn't sign a contract for, like they didn't sign the estimate or there's nothing there. Like they could have came after me or whatever. And of course, to the other dude, I'm like, oh my gosh, we did the wrong house. How humiliating it was. Remember how humiliating it was? And I literally I guess at that time, 10 years and whatever, like this had never happened to me. I've never done that before. And that's just like, it's a prime example of like, when you start rushing and trying to get things done too quickly, how you can make mistakes. And you just got to take your time, and think things through. And how easy would it have been to look at the address?
Obviously, if you were looking to see at their downspouts and they had problems with water holding, they were probably having the exact same issues.
Oh, yeah.
They were probably thankful that you were out there to actually fix it.
All of the houses in that neighborhood, if they hadn't been done already, were all having the same issues because when they did the basement and all that, they were all elevated, and all of the mulch, these new construction homes, the landscape companies that come in and get those done, they're just on the fly, just getting it done as soon as possible and getting in and getting it out. So the story ended up okay because I ended up going back out there and talking to the lady who I actually did, and she came out and she was a super sweet, Asian gal, and she was like, "Oh, it looks so nice. I love it so much," and she was full-fledged and I'm not trying to make fun, but that's how she talked, and it was just a funny ordeal. so it ended up working out all right, and the dude that we were supposed to do the project for was totally cool with it, totally understanding, mistakes happen, and it turned out to be okay, but I was freaking out there for a minute.
Too, that lady, you were like, "This is free. This is on us because we didn't mean to do it." And she was like, "No, I'm going to pay you for this work.
That's right.
I really want to pay you."
Yeah, she wanted to pay us.
She was so grateful. And then didn't she call back later or say she wanted more work done?
Yeah, she wanted more work done. We ended up selling more work to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't make her pay me for that, guys. I wasn't going to do that, but
maybe that's a way to upsell people. Just
go around, give them free work.
Go find the worst looking house in the neighborhood and do some free work and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that."
Well, you could lawn care juggernaut out here, Kevin Hansen out here mowing tall grass for free, and making some YouTube videos out of it. I guess that'd be a good way, but I would maybe pick a higher end neighborhood where they need some work, and you go out there. I don't know. I do that a lot, with larger projects where they need little things done immediately. We'll go do that and then fit in the larger side of the projects later on, or doing things in phases. We do the curb appeal, and then we do the backyard landscape, and then whatever, in phases, to sell projects that way too. So I don't know. All right. So there's that story. What else we got? I can't even.
No, I've got to think of something else. There's been so many, and you've told the cat story before about the grumpy guy that stole our cat.
Yeah, and that's a goofy
really
story.
Stupid.
Yeah, he stole our cat.
What is some more? There's so many.
And I'm not going to tell the truck crash story or whatever because that's just not fun. It ended up if you guys don't know, earlier this spring, I was heading out to an estimate. This was in March, and I was going around a bend, I guess you could say, as this other lady was following another dude that turned left, and he turned in front of me. She didn't see me, and I didn't see her, and she turned left and hit me head on in my truck. Totaled my truck.
Oh my gosh, I just thought of one. Oh my gosh, how could we have forgotten about this? Remember the time that you were working at my office, and one of the girls that works with me came in, and she was like, "Hey, I had to call 911. Somebody just ran off with your husband's stuff out of the back of his trailer." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yep.
And somebody what did they steal? A chainsaw or
my
what?
steel BR600. And the matter of fact, I think I had just bought it. It was brand new at the time, because that was 5 or 6 years ago. Now I still have that blower. It's 5 or 6 years old. And here's the story: is I still have it, but you
always told your people to make sure everything was locked up.
Yeah.
And somebody didn't.
Yeah.
And they ended up stealing out of the back.
Yeah, so I've got an enclosed trailer, and at the time it was the same trailer and stuff. So I guess
was it that one?
It wasn't it? I don't know.
I don't remember.
So I've got an enclosed trailer, and obviously it's your typical lawn care setup. We got the blowers hanging up in there and the trimmers on the racks, and I'm a cheapo when it comes to racks and stuff. I don't none of that's locked up inside the trailer. We just lock the trailer itself, and for whatever occasion, you get in a hurry, get into groove of things. We didn't put the back ramp up on the trailer, and we're working the way like her office is set up. We worked around the front of this building, and that's where all the lawn and whatever we were doing was out there. And then back in the parking lot around back was where the truck was sitting, where we always set it. But there's like a sidewalk there because it's right on a main road in town. And this dude was walking down the sidewalk, walked right up in, and tell me if I'm telling this wrong. He walked right up in and basically stole the blower. Kelly, who you worked with at the time, was headed out for lunch and saw this dude walk up into trailer. Knew he wasn't one of us because she knows us. Like, luckily, we were at your office when this happened. Luckily, she was going out to lunch. Luckily, she knows all of us and knew that wasn't right. And she saw him take the blower and walk off with it, right?
I believe that he ran off with it, and from what she said was that there was a car waiting for him at the end of the drive or something, and he threw it in there, and then it happened to be one of our patients that we knew that was the cop that was on duty that day, and he's the one that arrested him. And didn't they find like a bunch of like meth and stuff in there? I don't know. It was I just know
crazy. That they like, Kelly, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
Called the police or officer, whatever. However it worked out, I don't remember all the details, but like luckily since it happened that way, they found the dude's car or whatever with the blower sitting in the back of it.
Yeah.
And returned it to us that day, like within the hour. So
it was some really stupid people. I mean, because honestly, where we're from, it's like Hamilton County. I mean, it's full of people, a very safe, nice community. And they come out at noon. I mean, that's just like really dumb. Everybody's going to lunch.
Yeah. It's almost like down there. It's like people, it's a wealthy area, guys. Like it's a wealthy area, even for the U.S., but that doesn't mean anything, but it's almost like it attracts people from all around to come, I guess, spot out lawn care and, different rigs throughout the day and
I guess it could be anybody that's doing any kind of work like that.
Yeah.
Got a truck and trailer or anything open.
And I know a lot of guys in this industry that have a lot of stories, of their stuff getting stolen. So make sure for sure that you're locking up your stuff and, now whenever I'm away from the trailer for more than a couple of minutes, and maybe it should be less than that, like the door's up and the locks are on there. It just it adds more time, but man, you don't know. Like it's a short little amount of time to lock up your trailer, and it's a lot of time wasted and a lot of time down, and a lot of your stuff's insured or should be or whatever, but still, like that's billable hours that you're out when you don't have that equipment. So, like I say, take care of the things that take care of you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true with everything. You're tired of hearing that saying by now, but it's true. So I don't know. What do we have any other stories? I mean, I know we've got plenty of them. We just, now that we're on here, actually press the record button. No. It's hard to think of things. But it's funny.
Yeah.
We've got all kinds of stories.
I have to rack my brain around some more, but I mean, I'm sure once we get off of here, I'll think of like 5 more things. But
we're just trying to keep it fun and keep it light, guys. And I hope you're having a good Friday out there whenever you're listening to this podcast. And, Brian, I appreciate you letting us come on here and take it over and tell
Brian,
a few stories.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
My wife actually, actually came on here because like, oh, wait, you're doing a podcast for Brian. Well, people actually listen to that one, don't they? So like, maybe it's worth my time.
Whatever.
So maybe we've broken the ice here. You guys will have to go check out the Lawn Care Community Podcast. And she's been on the YouTube channel a few times at GIE, right? You were there, 2019 with me. GIE is coming up, guys. I believe as of today, things could change. Heather, the kids, and I are all going down there.
Yes, we don't have a sitter for our kids, and I love them dearly, but it's so much fun when we can go out with everybody in the evening, so I'm not really sure exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah, we love our kids, but, sometimes we want a little time
and
away.
Liz and them, they're going to start to realize what it's like to have a baby and to take it places, and... then by the time you have 3, you're just like, oh my gosh, it is what it is. Just
we're actually recording this real time, and it's evening, and the kids are doing their own thing, and like we're hoping they don't barge in here like trying to, oh my gosh, you guys are doing a podcast? I want to be on there.
Well, it did happen. It happened earlier, and Olivia wanted ice cream.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was like the only way to get her out. And Drew, he suckered into his TV. He likes to watch anything and everything, YouTube, slime or whatever. So we're, just living the life, and life gets busy, and as you all may know that have kids and family and all of that, but it's fun, that's what keeps us going. So back to my point, GIE, we will be down there, and you guys can go check out the Lawn Care Community Podcast. And like, I put my podcast, and Heather may not know this, but I kind of think of it as what Paul Jameson of the Green Industry Podcast would call the Chuck and the Truck, of lawn care business. That's kind of my podcast currently. I've kind of like do it when I can type deal. It's like the lawn care guy that I'll mow it when I get to it. That's kind of how I've been treating my podcast. And Heather's been pushing me here lately, and I'm going to be doing some things coming up here, and we're going to do some winter views, I'm calling them, and we're going to get a lot of other guys on. It is called the Lawn Care Community for a reason. So listen to that. Make sure you go subscribe. We got a lot of great content coming up over the winter and into next year, and hopefully we can get caught up with everything there. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. You got anything else you want to say? No, just thanks for having me.
So it's been awesome. The inaugural podcast here on the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast, Lawns, Lessons, Life, and occasionally the wife, I guess. So until next time, guys, as I always say, take care of the things
that take care of you.
Later.
See you guys.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to shovel. I don't even have a snowblower. Nobody to plow me. Oh, my God, and the neighbors suck. They don't help. Oh, my God, what am I going to do?
Do you want to keep the cash flowing this winter? Head over to LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com and check out all of Brian Fullerton's new courses and powerful resources to get you cashing in on that white gold through plowing snow. The Snow Plowing Training Course is easy to understand, and you'll learn what it takes to do the job effectively and how to bid, price, and estimate snow plowing for both residential and commercial properties. LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com has 3 new resources to take the hassle and guesswork out of securing your snow removal jobs, plus there's eye-catching marketing materials that can help you secure new clients quickly. Ready to crush the snow game this year? Visit LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.